Okay, good. Now, the same concept will be used in chapter 4. But the only difference is what? We will not talk about dynamic, we will talk about what? Static. Static, what does this mean? In Fnet, along any axis is what? 0. Fnet along any axis is 0. Same treatment, same everything, right? Except there is no acceleration. Except that there is no acceleration. So open now your book page 193, section 4A. Let's go to exercise 4A. Exercise what? 4A. Same concept. Okay. What do we have here? Yes. Each of the diagrams shows particle in equilibrium. In what? In equilibrium. Equilibrium means the resultant force is 0. Under the action of 3 or more forces. Using the information given in the diagram, in each case, okay, resolve resolve the forces in x direction, y direction, find the magnitude of any unknown forces, pq or theta, or what? Theta. I will start with the first one. We have 3 forces, q newtons, right? P newtons, and here what? 5 newtons. This angle is what? Like the family side.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. So, okay, please. How many forces here we have? 3 forces. As usual, first of all, I have to resolve. Which force? This one. Okay? Because this is the y-axis and this is what? The x-axis. This force should be resolved. This force should be resolved. This one will be here. 5 cosine 30. Here 5 sine 30. Again, this axis takes cosine because the angle given with the x-axis, right? And this will take sine as you know. So now, Fnet along the vertical axis is 0 because it's in equilibrium, and Fnet along the horizontal axis is 0. Actually, whatever the direction of the arrow will be the same because there's no movement. There is no movement. What do we have along the vertical? P minus 5 sine 30 equals what? 0. Right? So P equals what? 5 sine 30. 2.5. Yes, excellent. So P equals what? 2.5 newtons. Along the horizontal, Q minus what? 5 cosine 30 equals 0. So Q equals what? 30 newtons. Is there any difference?
No.
Same as what? As chapter 3. Same as chapter 3.
Das geht aber. Schön eingebaut.
Yes.
I will go to
So we can just find the...
Yeah, 5 sine theta.
Yes, P equals 5 sine.
Yeah, so we're trying to do all that.
Then we have
I have to start always from scratch. Right? From the formula, F-net equilibrium, I have to clarify these things for you. But if you wrote this, okay, fine, no matter. Try it. Okay? Clear?
So they always have to equal.
Yeah, opposite forces are equal. Equilibrium, what does this mean? Opposite forces are equal. Simple. Right? But I have always to make and formulate everything. Start from the formula, blah blah. Okay. What do we have? This is y-axis. Q. $60 newtons. Here what? P. This angle is given 120 degree. This angle is given 45 degree. Okay, fine. What I have to do before doing anything? Resolve, right? I have to. Two forces now need a resolve. Look, this force lies between x and y, and this force lies between what? X and y. This force already lies where? Along x. So, guys, look at this angle given. I need only this.
30, 90.
Or, whatever. But this is the simplest, it's what? 30. Any question about that? This is 30, right? Because the whole angle is what? 120, right? The whole angle is 120. And this angle is 120. I need the angle either with x-axis or what? Y-axis. So it becomes 30. So what is the resolving component here? Q cosine 30, and here Q sine what? 30, right? Y, look here. 30 is given with what? With the vertical component, right? 30 is given with the vertical component. The Q cosine 30, Q sine 30. What about 6? 6 sine, cosine 45, and here 6 what? 6 sine 45. Again, the horizontal component, right? Or the angle is given with the horizontal component, so it will take cosine, while vertical will take what? Sine. For equilibrium, F net vertical 0, F net along horizontal axis is 0. What do we have along vertical? Q cosine 30 minus 6 sine 45 equals what? 0. Okay? Here we have to find Q. Q equals right? Q cosine 30 equals 6 sine 45. Divide by cosine 30. Divide by cosine 30. Q equals 2 square root of 6 newtons. Okay? Along the horizontal, what do we have? We have 6 cosine 45, Q sine 30. We will check. No matter. I will check it. 6 cosine 45, Q sine 30, what? P. Along what? Horizontal axis or x axis. فهذا شكل 6 cosine 45 minus, plus Q sine 30, okay? Minus P equals what? 0. Clear? Any question? We need a P. So move P in this way. And the other side, sorry. 6 cosine 45 plus Q 2 square root of 6 sine 30. P equals, actually we may have certain mistakes in the final answers that written in the book, right? At the end of the book. P equals
6.69.
6.69 meters. Be careful, pay attention about, or be aware, sorry, about what number of significant figures and what the unit and the unit. Clear? Copy the answers, please. ممكن يكون a mistake from the book, right?
I think P cosine 30, P sine 30, we also need to
Some P ما عنده غلط طبعا. It's clear, yeah, it's clear that there's a mistake in the answer.
Question 3 twice.
Could be, yes, could be, yes, could be. Okay, guys. 4A. Now this chapter, again, this chapter talks about what? Girls. Static. In static, the resultant force horizontal equals 0, and the resultant force vertical is what? 0. This is as a result of what? Equilibrium, right? If an object is in equilibrium, so the resultant force in both axes would be what? 0. Would be 0. Look to 4A, exercise 4A. Question. Yes. Now, question 5. Question 5. 4A, question 5. Okay. We have an object. This object is applied by three forces, is exerted by three forces. P. Here's 7 newtons. This angle is theta. This angle is what? 45 degrees. These forces, or these are the forces that are given exercise 5. Okay, look here please. Now it's in equilibrium, right? It's mentioned that this is in equilibrium. So in equilibrium, the resultant force is 0. So what I have to do, first of all, I have to resolve the forces that they don't lie along x-axis or y-axis. Look again, here we have two forces. This force lies between these axes. So along the x-axis, or the angle is given. Look, the angle is given with the x-axis. Okay. So this becomes what? 4 newtons cosine 45. Right? Because the angle is given with the x-axis. Fine? And here, 4 sine. Along the y here, we have 4 sine 45. Okay? Sine 45. Again, angle is given with the x-axis, so the x component will take cosine, the y component will take what? Sine. Look to P. P, here we will have what? P cosine theta, right? P cosine theta. Why P cosine theta?
Because the angle is given with that.
Yes, because the angle is given with the x-axis. Look here, the angle is given with the x-axis. So this becomes P cosine theta, and here
P sine theta.
P sine theta. And question about the resolving into components. Hey, P should be resolved between these two axes. P cosine, P sine. Now let's apply Newton law, second law. Newton net, F net, upward equals what? 0. F net, horizontal equals 0. What do we have here?
4 sine 45.
4 sine 45 minus P sine theta equals what? 0.
Sorry.
This one?
Oh.
Well, now, if the force lies between x-axis and y-axis, it should be resolved. How we will resolve the force? Simply, if the force given with the x-axis, this will take cosine, and the other axis will take what? Sine. Always in this way. So, the other, along the horizontal, what do we have? P cosine theta plus 4 cosine 45 minus 7 equals 0. Right? P cosine theta, 4 cosine 45 minus 7 equals what? 0. Clear? Actually, we are asked to find what? P and theta. P and theta. Okay, fine. Look here, we have theta. In order to find theta, okay, we have only to use, shift sine or shift what? Cosine, but I can't use it here because I have two variables. So what we will do, look here please. P sine theta equals 4 sine 45. This is the first equation. This is the first equation. Okay? Yes. Yes, the theta always given in degree. Here, I will make P cosine theta subject of the formula. Okay? So this becomes what? 7 minus 4 cosine what? 45. This is equation number 2. Okay? Fine? Look what will I do now. I will divide.
Sine over cosine.
Yes. Equation 1 by what? Equation 2. Excellent. This is what we are looking for. Equation 2. If we divide equation, or when we divide equations actually, the right side should be divided by the right side and the left side should be divided by the left side. Okay? So here it becomes P sine theta from equation 1 divided by what? P cosine theta. P cosine theta. Okay? Left side, left side. Now the right side equal 4 sine 45, 7 minus 4 cosine what? 45. Look here. This is the right side from equation 1. This is the right side from the equation 2. Right side divided by right side. This is why I arranged the equation in this way. So P cancel out, right? Eventually what we will get? Tan theta equals 4 sine 45 divided by 7 minus 4 cosine 45. Clear? Theta equals tan inverse of this
34.1.
34.1 degree. Don't forget the degree. Look, I arranged the equation so I will have sine over cosine, right? Sine over cosine, I will have tan, and the value of p will be cancelled out, okay? Will be cancelled out, okay? Now, if we found theta, now I will be easily find p. Okay, so p sine 34.1, right? P sine 34.1 equals 4 sine what? 45. Divided by sine 34.1 divided by sine 34.1. P equals
5.04.
5.04 or 5.0. 2 or 3 significant figures are enough. Clear? Here actually we will not have a problem in dealing with mechanics, but we may have certain problems in algebra. Yani here we will have equations that should be done simultaneously. Okay? Yeah, copy this quickly.
So something fish.
Okay? Any question about this? Again, this force 8 Newton, right, lies between y and x, so it should be resolved. This becomes 8 cosine 30, right? And this 8 sine 30. Q here, between this axis and this axis, should be resolved. Q cosine 30, Q sine 30. Now I have to use what? Newton. F net along this axis is 0. F net along what? This axis is 0, right? Clear? Because it's in equilibrium. It's in equilibrium along this axis. What do we have here? Q cosine 30 minus 8 sine 30 equals what? 0. Right? 8 cosine 30 minus 8 sine 30 equals what? 0. Fine? The other direction, which is along y-axis, F net in this direction is 0. F net along this direction is what? 0. So what we will have here? P minus 8 cosine 30 minus Q sine what? 30 equals 0. Again, you have to do this equation by using what? Algebra. To simplify this, instead of cosine, use what? Square root of 3 over 2. Sine 1/2. Cosine here, square root of 3 over 2. Here what? 1/2. And by doing algebra, you can find what? P and Q. Yes? yes, directly type Q equals كذا وهون طلب P. Okay, fine. Copy this. Question 9. Yes. Yes, all chapter 4. طيب خليكم معايا غلط عليك physics mechanics حتى الماوس. Okay, look to question 9 first. In question 9, you know, in this question, we have a particle in equilibrium. This particle is under or influenced by several forces. The first force, 4 Newton. Here we have P with angle with horizontal 30. Okay. We have another force here, Q, with 45 degree. And here we have what? 8 Newton, similarly with 45 degree with horizontal. Okay, fine. We have also H, we have to find what? P and Q. P and Q. The first step, we have to do it. We have to resolve this force into components. This is y-axis, right? And this is what? The x-axis. We will deal only with perpendicular forces, right? Perpendicular forces. First one here, the angle given with horizontal, so this becomes what? P cosine what? 30. P cosine 30. Here, P sine 30. The angle given with horizontal, so it becomes P cosine. Clear? So the other component P sine. Q also should be resolved, but here, Q will be resolved here, right? Between these two axes. Here, Q cosine 45. Here, Q what? Sine 45. Clear? Any question? 8 also should be resolved here. Just a minute. Here, 8 cosine 45. Why? The angle given with horizontal, so 8 cosine. Here, 8 what? Sine 45. Yes. What is your question?
Cosine, Q cosine 45.
Hi. The angle given with what? Sorry, A. With horizontal, right?
Oh.
So the horizontal component will take what? Cosine. While vertical component will take sine.
Then horizontal cosine.
No. Look to the angle given. This angle is given with which axis?
Sine.
With which axis?
All axis.
X-axis. Right? The horizontal axis. Fine?
Okay.
So the horizontal component will take cosine, and vertical component will take sine. Clear? We have only, it's easy, simply look to the angle or the given angle. If it's with horizontal, so the horizontal cosine and the vertical what? Sine, and vice versa. Okay? Clear? Now apply Newton's second law. F net vertical equals 0. F net horizontal equals 0. What do we have along the vertical axis? Q sine 45 plus P sine 30, okay, equals minus, 4 minus 8 sine what? 45 equals 0. Right? Positive. Here these are negative. Equals 0 because it's in equilibrium. Okay, so Q sine 45 plus P sine 30 equals what? 4 plus 8 sine 45. This is equation number 1. This is equation number 1. Okay, fine? Let's do this here. F net along the horizontal axis equals what? 0. Equals 0. What do we have along the horizontal? P cosine 30 minus 8 cosine 45 minus Q cosine 45. Clear? P cosine 30 in this direction, which is positive. These two forces are in the negative direction. So P cosine 45 minus 8 cosine 45, sorry, P cosine 30 minus Q cosine 45, this will be what? 0. I will arrange these two equations to have two, I will arrange these to have two equations, okay? So that can be done simultaneously. That can be done what? Simultaneously. شوف شو راح أخلي هلا هون. P cosine 30 minus Q cosine 45. Which one?
That 8 cosine 45 with a Q.
Both of them negative.
Yeah.
In the opposite direction. This is positive. Look, we say here, we wrote what? If net in this direction positive. Right, no matter the direction because it's in equilibrium. And if I took also this positive and this negative, no matter. Okay? No matter because it's in equilibrium, whatever the direction, the positive direction. Because actually it's not moving. Actually it's not moving. Now this is equation number what? 2. Equation number 2. I will write equation number 1 here. P sine 30 minus plus Q sine 45 equals 4 plus 8 sine what? 45. How can I do these equations? Simultaneous, sorry. Okay. Look here. P cosine 30. Look to this equation. Guys, after using Newton's second law, right? I got two equations with two variables, P and what? Q. I have to do them simultaneously. But we have to know how to deal with cosine and what? Sine. Okay? If you find the cosine 30 by using the calculator, it will be square root of 3 over 2. P plus minus. Cosine 40, 1 over square root of 2 Q equals 8 square root of what? 2. Similar here, half P, yes?
Cosine 45 and the root of 2 over 2.
No matter, same thing. Root of 2 over 2, yes, same. Go on, same thing, same. Root of 2 over 2, this way, okay? Here it becomes over 4. Okay, if you multiply here 8 cosine 40, I think we will get this one.
4 root 2.
4 root 2? Okay. 4 root 2. If I use fraction, this will reduce the rounding, right? And if I use it as a fraction, I have to round the value of sine and cosine, and this actually will affect what? The final answer. Will affect the final answer, yes?
طب انا لما احط الساين 30 مثلا ما بيطلع لي فراكشن بيطلع لي ديسيمال.
حط اس دي.
ما بيطلع بيطلع زي
No way. It should be. Unless you use the radian, not degree.
لا
Cosine 30. Square root of 3 over 2. There's a problem with your calculator. Okay, look here please. Again, why we will use here, why we will use fraction instead of decimal, because actually decimal numbers if I would like to use these numbers in the equations, I have to round them. Well, this rounding will affect eventually what the final answer. Okay, again, cosine 30 square root of 3 over 2. Cosine 45 square root of 2 over 2. If you multiply 8 cosine 45, it becomes 4 square root of what? 2. P sine 30 half p plus same thing square root of 2 over 2 q equals
4 plus 4 square root of 2.
4 plus 4 square root of what? 2. Look here, girls. I can add them easily, صح? Why? These will cancel out. Okay? If I add them, square root of 2 over 2q plus square root of 2 over 2q, this will cancel out. Clear? What we will have, this will be square root of 3 plus 1 over 2p equals 4 plus 8 square root of 2. Right? By calculator, do everything. Okay? By calculator. So P equals, now we can round P. Let's plug P. P 11.2, right?
Yeah.
11.2. This is P, right? What about Q? Substitute P somewhere in any of these equations, right? You will have what? Q. You will have what? Q. This is algebra, right? But I did this question actually to in order to learn how to deal with what? Algebra with cosine and sine, right? Okay, cosine and sine. And probably we will have angles like 30, 45, 60, these famous angles or well-known angles. Q will be 5.73 newtons. Okay? By the way, the rest of the questions will be the same. Will be the same. We have to use equilibrium. Okay. Any question about this? Again, this force 8 Newton, right, lies between y and x, so it should be resolved. This becomes 8 cosine 30, right? And this 8 sine 30. Q here, between this axis and this axis, should be resolved Q cosine 30, Q sine 30. Now I have to use what? Newton. F net along this axis is 0. F net along what? This axis is 0, right? Clear? Because it's in equilibrium. It's in equilibrium along this axis. What do we have here? Q cosine 30 minus 8 sine 30 equals what? 0. Right? 8 cosine 30 minus 8 sine 30 equals what? 0. Fine? The other the other direction, which is along y-axis, F net in this direction is 0. F net along this direction is what? 0. So what we will have here, P minus 8 cosine 30 minus Q sine what? 30 equals 0. Again, you have to do this equation by using what? Algebra. To simplify this, instead of cosine, use what? Square root of 3 over 2. Sine 1/2. Cosine here, square root of 3 over 2. Here what? 1/2. And by doing algebra, you can find what? P and Q. Yes? yes, directly Q equals كذا وهون طلب P. Okay, fine. Copy this.